Ladies and gentlemen, this is a big day for me. And I'll tell you why. Because this superstar that's in the screen beside me is a very, very cool human being that I'm very excited to introduce you to. And this is my friend Bahia.
Mhm.
First time on the celebration machine. And is that Luna that's popped up?
This is Luna. Yeah,
Look at
she likes
Luna.
to hug. She
Luna
likes to.
is we keep it real on this podcast, folks. We don't we don't mind if kitties show up. I will not probably have Winnie show up here because she would eat my microphone. Winnie's my golden retriever. Bahia, welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks,
It's
Pete.
happening. We talked about doing this years ago. We
Yeah,
talked
do
about
you
doing
remember
this.
what the name was?
We were gonna call it Bahia and the Beast.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
we were gonna call
remember.
it Bahia and the Beast.
Yes.
And a little bit of background: I met Bahia through a mutual friend, Katie Brown. Right? We just discussed that. My head doesn't work right, but I knew we met through a mutual friend. Um, and
And
I
it was
was
on
living.
Instagram.
It was on Instagram. That's right. And I was like, this is a pretty cool human being. We connected. We talked. I was going through some crazy stuff. I was living in a storage unit of a building that I was managing at the time.
But it
Uh,
wasn't quite yet, Pete. Like you were like on the cusp of
okay.
like you weren't
Okay.
sure what was going to happen, what to do, and then in
Yeah.
comes fairy godmother B, Mama
Yeah.
B,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
something in you was like, "This isn't right. I there's more to life," and you went on this like path.
Yeah. Yeah. And I said in the video, it was like I was in this well, I was in this kind of a dark well. I could see light very far away, but I was in this dark well, and then we met. And I'm a big believer in divine intervention, or somehow your higher self, coming in and saying, hey, you should probably talk to this person, dumbass, because you're not doing so well. And then enter Bahia. And we just started talking, and it was like, let's clarify, this was not like a romantic relationship, but we loved each other right away in a very real way.
Yeah. It
You
was
know what I
weird
mean?
though. It was a weird
Yeah.
kind of love because it's like I knew like you felt familiar
Yeah. Yeah.
and just the fact that you were born on the same day as my dad, like
Yeah.
that commonality piece right there. And when
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
first met you and you showed up in your work truck and I got in and I'm like, "Pete, this smells like my dad's work truck when I was a
Yeah.
it was
It
are
was
we
a
allowed
weird
to
comfort. It
drop
was a weird
F-bombs?
comfort. Yeah. Yeah.
It
We can
was
swear. This
trippy.
is,
It's
yeah.
fucking trippy. And I was
Yeah.
just like, Pete, what is happening? And
Yeah.
like, I just remember the sense of like comfort that I felt from you. And I love giving credit to Katie Brown because she was like, she's the one who introduced you as a creative artist. So she was a
Yeah.
fan of yours and your music, like in
Yeah.
that previous time through, I
Yeah.
feel like it was your time in Ottawa,
Yeah.
maybe, or,
Yeah.
and I'm really big on connecting with artists. Like I can feel that creative potential that exists in a person, and I love like helping to activate it or be like some sort of muse to be like, oh my gosh, like you've got to bring this into the world.
Yeah. No,
And
it was crazy, and it was perfect. And and then anyways, I remember being in that storage unit, and you and I were talking about it and stuff, and it was like being in a cave and kind of retreating into, and I was there, folks, just so you know. I was there because I didn't know if I was going to move back to my home province or not. I was, ending a relationship, and things were a little bit chaotic, and I just didn't know what to do. So I took the opportunity to stay in this place because I didn't want to, help pay a mortgage, and have a rent and all this stuff. So I moved into the storage unit, which my boss found out about. It's no secret. And he thought I was losing my goddamn mind. But anyway, this is where we did the majority of our talking. So I'd be in my storage unit and I'd be talking to Bahia, and we just went on this. We just built this friendship based on common interests and just trust. And she jumped in and did her thing because I'm usually the helper, right? That's the thing. I'm the helper,
mm,
but I needed help. And I needed someone that was going to come in and not with the woohoo bullshit. I needed a real, and it's not like I could draw. And I kept it. I didn't want to reach out to my network of friends that I had home because you're proud and you want to kind of keep your stuff quiet, and I didn't want to burden anyone. So Bahia shows up, in my life as this and this was not like a paid thing, like, oh hey, give me money, I'm a healer and I'm going to fix you. No, this was a mutual person, this two spirits meeting that were like, we just clicked, and she could see better where I was compared to where, when you're in a hole, all you see is the dirt around you. You don't see the light necessarily. And then Bahia shows up and throws this line down and says, hey, grab this, come on, let's have a chat. And we talk. And so Bahia, before we get into that, just like, what do you like, can you just describe, um, and again, going back to the whole woohoo thing, like, I'm going to talk to lots of people on this podcast, but I really want to talk to people that resonate with me in a really truthful way. And, I don't look at people as, oh, you're a healer and you're going to fix me. Like, Biha and I both share the idea of that we're active participants. You are the healer. The person asking for help, you are the healer. And the
Mhm.
person helping you, or the healer, as some people will call themselves, and I get it, you're more of a facilitator. Would you agree with that, Bahia? That you're like a
Yeah,
facilitator of an experience?
a space holder, like we're the
Yeah.
light. So like in a moment of darkness, like you
Mm-hmm.
described, a person or a group of people will enter into your life, and kind of how I see it is like we just kind of create like a safe space for your body to
Yeah.
unwind and just regulate itself again. Like we are, I am going to bring like a bit of spirituality into our conversation
Oh no,
today, but
absolutely,
it
absolutely.
is rooted in practicality, and there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
science that's finally catching up. And but what I will share is everything that I do share, and I feel like that's why we resonated so well together, is
Mm-hmm.
that you knew I was no bullshit because I walked through it. I never shared anything that I didn't have firsthand experience with.
That's right.
So it's like when I'm explaining a concept to you that for most people might be like, that girl crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like I walked through it. Like we have mystical experiences that happen, and more people are having these. And this is what I love about your celebration machine, and this safe space to kind of drop in, like just in a very practical, grounded way, that we have a lot of powerful technology inside of us, and that our minds, we're only really operating at like 10 to 12% capacity.
Wow.
There's potential inside of us. And as we unlock that through just different experiences, like, when you upgrade, going from a flip phone to a smartphone,
Yeah.
who knew that we could have all these apps on our phone? Like it was
Yeah.
just like shit. Your whole
Yeah.
life is in your phone now.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the same inside of us. Like we were just a flip phone before. Like we just knew that we got up, we went to work, we eat, we have sex, like we do all of these basic things.
Yeah.
But now as life mirrors to us, oh no, we've got software in here. We've got apps. We've got potential to things, and it's like, well, how do we use it? There's no manual.
Yeah. That's
There's
right.
there's ancient wisdom.
Which is kind of the
There's
fun, no manual, right?
exactly it, but it's for me personally, it's through lived experience. It's through shared experience. And just to rewind back a little bit, like my name is Bahia, and I
Mm-hmm.
met Pete through Instagram, but I also feel like it was through the law of resonance too that brought us together. Like there was just this like there's this invisible energy, and we know it's real because we have Wi-Fi signal. So come on, like why do we believe that we can access bars on our phone but that we can't radiate out energy? Like it's the same kind of thing, but we just need to give it a language. And once we give it a language, then we can go, oh. So it's like I feel like you sent out like almost like an SOS call into those wavelength fields, and then I somehow sitting around like late at night just, and then through Katie coming in going, you gotta check this guy out. And I'm like, who is this guy? And I remember sending you a message go, oh, I really like your work, something along those lines. And it initiated a conversation,
That's
right?
right. Yeah. That's right.
Um, but I do feel like those are not random moments. That is energy moving through like all these different wavelengths and then landing somewheres. And then we decide to give it meaning through our shared connection. So, prior to me being able to have these kinds of thoughts, pre 2013, like I'm an engineer. I'm locked into like this very grounded practical life. I am chronic people pleaser. Like I had no sense of self, no direction. But then something mystical happened to me in October of 2013 that I couldn't explain. So in that moment, I'm like, what do I do? Like my whole world just kind of got flipped upside down. And when your options at the doctor is, okay, I can give you a prescription for clonazepam, I'm like, that doesn't feel right. Like something in me was like, nope, that's not the path.
Yeah.
That was my choice, but I don't judge anyone else's choices. I just knew I had to figure something out. And I don't know where that voice at the time came from. There was just something in me going, no, I've got to figure this out. So I took a different path that most, I would say, don't, because we're afraid. You're going into the unknown. Like there's this place that very few venture into, and it's like you might lose your mind. And I did for a bit. Like if I rewind, like I really didn't know what was happening to me, and people could call it chronic anxiety or a nervous breakdown, but something was fragmenting in my brain in a new way, and there was some sort of new wiring system. And it was about 6 months of an acute WTF. Like I didn't really know what was happening to me. And I was still functioning through life. And I share that, Pete, because I feel like you were going through something similar too. Maybe not to the same extreme, but I could feel it.
Oh yeah, no, that and I think that's important too. And again, listen, folks, we're not giving out medical advice or any of that stuff. And I
Mm-mm.
appreciate Bahia bringing up the fact that you essentially had a nervous breakdown. And okay, in clinical language, call it a nervous breakdown, whatever you want to call it, anxiety, panic disorder, whatever those words are. And I did the same thing. And I think it was well, they called it for me, they called it an organic mood disorder with and I had a psychotic break. So same kind of thing. Life just exploded. And I wasn't making the best decisions at the time, but I was chasing a feeling inside, and things went sideways. And or actually, in retrospect, things went exactly the way they had to go. And by
Mhm.
you saying you had all this happen to you, I do think that that's an opportunity when shit like that happens to you. If you can, because no one said to you, Bahia, hey, or maybe they did, but you didn't bring it up. But nobody said, hey, maybe this is like an awakening, because you at the time you're not. I mean, I wasn't surrounded by people that spoke that language.
Mm-mm.
Um, it would have been. I had an old priest tell me once that this there was a spiritual element to this when I was in a rubber room, in an observation room. Um, and he was the first sort of non-clinical person to say, hey, maybe there's some spiritual elements here, look into your heart, type of thing. And then I had another family friend who was also a priest, because I thought at the time I was possessed. I mean, I had no other language for what was happening, and this was pre-internet or beginning of internet, so it was going to libraries and trying to find books on what's happening to me, and figured out it was anxiety and depression. But what's underneath all that, what's driving it? So I appreciate the fact that you said you lost your shit, right?
Oh, I
And the
did.
family you came from, the family you're in, are they a spiritual family? Were they embracing of this, or was it just go get pills, get your shit fixed, and keep soldiering on?
Well, what's
Well,
interesting about that, Pete, is that my father was diagnosed as bipolar, and so he had an episode in the 80s. So where he actually did shock treatments and was actually in the Nova Scotia the Nova Scotia hospital. So I have very distinct memories of like going to visit him, and his mind was so fractured. I remember walking down the hallway and he looked up at me, and I was running to him going, "Daddy, Daddy." And he's like, "Who are you?" Like he didn't recognize me.
wow.
And just imagine like a 7-year-old girl in that moment going, "What is happening right now?"
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I feel like because of what I walked through with my father, the clonazepam wasn't an option for me. That's why I'm saying it's a very personal decision. Like I grew up around mental disorders or manic depressive mood swings. I learned how to walk on eggshells, and I feel like that's why I became hyper vigilant and hypersensitive to environments and rooms. Like I've been in training since I was born
yeah.
to feel and sense what's happening before you even have words for it. So I feel like when that 2013 moment happened for me, like when I look at it now, I can see, like I know that there was an aspect of me, and this is where the language might shift a little bit for people, and I do
And
my
that's
best to
fine.
keep
That's
it
fine. Yeah,
grounded.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
But this is where I can feel like there was this higher aspect of myself, and you could call it your future self, your higher self, but it was telling me, okay, you're not living life like this anymore. Get out of the hamster wheel, get out of like Groundhog Day. We're going to change. And so for me, and in shamanic traditions, it's known you can have these initiations as like a near death experience,
Mm-hmm.
through illness, or it's like just this sudden shock. And for me, it was just like a switch flipped in my brain. And it was very sudden. And it was almost like a new voltage came in my body, and just the transformer of my nervous system couldn't handle that charge of light, almost like lightning strike, like inside of me, and
Yes,
my body
yes.
just shut the shit down. It was like, this is foreign, we don't know what this is. So all systems locked down, and it took me like 6 months just to thaw out of that huge kind of internal implosion. And it started through yoga.
Okay.
So through movement. And so as I heard this notion of yoga, I was like, well, I don't know if I do that kind of stuff, but
So you were still an engineer at this time, though, right? Like you're coming
yeah.
from your head. You weren't like you weren't the lady running out doing spiritual things or buying crystals or any of that typical kind of I'm
No,
going to
like,
explore spirituality. Basically, life just whooped your ass, and you're
yep,
an engineer working as an engineer, and you're from your head primarily, right? You're an engineer. You're
left brained.
thinking,
Yeah.
right?
So it's that
Left
left
brain,
logical brain. Yep.
and then all this voltage, your energy shifted, something happened that you what felt like a breakdown was might have been just some kind of an upgrade. And again, people, if this is, I really want to encourage people that aren't already in the spiritual space, and men in particular, to explore this with us and on this channel. um and the language, sometimes, like, I'll stop and I want to explain certain things. So when I say upgrade, it's like anything else, like you brought up with phones. As human beings, as if we're speaking in the terms of energy, and we're energetic systems running this organic meat suit, which is also connected through spirit or Wi-Fi to our higher selves, we'll say, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
You can sometimes feel what does feel like an upgrade, but it's not pleasant. Sometimes it's incredibly intense and scary and terrifying, and it presents in real life, or real life in life, as nervous breakdown, anxiety, panic disorder, depression, a sense of being off. And a lot of people have been feeling like that for a few years now in the general public. And in a video I spoke about before, and I was telling you, people that I typically wouldn't have these conversations with are saying something feels weird and off, and not only in the world but in themselves. And they talk about, like, my body feels weird, or I've got these strange sensations. And there's a lot of people that are thinking they're going crazy. And it's, to me, and you have said it as well, it feels like everybody is being given the choice to
Yes.
go into this new realm of energy, or way of feeling. Now, I know we're going into the woohoo, but the shit's happening on some level that I know I'm feeling, and I know you're feeling it, Bahia, and I'm sure people watching this are feeling it as well. And even with all the experience I've had, I still was like, am I losing my mind? Is this happening again? Is this 1994 again? Am I going crazy? Is this anxiety? Am I losing my shit again? Even knowing that I wasn't losing my shit back then, it was, my life was changing just like yours did. So I know I was a bit of a ramble there, but I just want to clarify that I want to help people that are curious but might be not understand, or be,
Yeah.
because
And we
Bahia,
don't want to turn people away. Like, we
I don't
don't
want to
want
turn
people
people
to go,
away.
oh, this
No,
is bullshit, I'm going
no,
to turn
that's
this
right.
off.
Because you're an
Like,
engineer. That's what I love. You're a goddamn engineer. Like, you are sort of the polar opposite of just trust me. I have guides, and spirit talks to me, and right, which is fucking true. It happens. Like, you do receive downloads of information, or dreams, or intuition,
all
or
of
all that
us do.
stuff.
All
All
of
of it,
us do.
everybody. It's not sort of a
We
special
just
thing.
don't know how to interpret it.
That's where I want to come in with the celebration machine, along with
Yeah.
just showing people cool people and talking about life and death and everything in between. But I really think it's important that people understand that you were not, you were not a person that was even built to be in this lane. And yet here you are doing this awesome work, following your heart's, following your spirit's calling. Really, you're following your calling, and
But the calling came from this is I Pete, and I feel like this is where celebration machine kicks in for you. It's
yeah,
just like when we are very humans, like what we're doing down here, like our heart capacity. I want us to just feel into this for a moment. But do
yeah,
you
yeah,
notice how we're all kind of like, we're to ourselves, we live our own lives, we get caught up in our own minds. But then when there's like a major tragedy or there's like a hurricane or trees get knocked. Did you notice how people rally to take care of each other? Like there's something about us that knows when shit gets real,
yeah,
we're going to be there for each other. So it's kind of the same thing for us right now. Like we went through something so profound
hmm
that like as we got through it, it almost feels like we have this sense in our hearts to be like, well, man, I don't want anyone to feel alone going through that. Like, I
no,
somehow
no,
have to like share this or be a space or be a light or, you know. So I didn't even feel like I'd get called into this work. People just started coming to me after I started figuring things out for myself. It just kind of organically becomes something, and everyone will, it looks different for everybody, but it's almost like you feel a sense of responsibility, but it's not a weight. It's almost like an excitement. Like it's just like when you meet somebody else or they share a story, it's like, oh my gosh, I got you, you know, because there's this shared feeling of I'm going to hold your hand through this.
yes, yes, and it's not a look at me, grandstanding sort of. I mean, it's exciting to learn new things, but it's not. What I really love and respect about you is that you're not talking from on high, like from day one. You were just like, hey man, you just got it right in the trench with me, and you were just open to walking along with me and met me where I was, and then we were just, you didn't say do this and then you will. It was just this natural exchange of information and ideas, um, and you're very good at meeting people where they're at, and sort of helping them kind of either express themselves or come out of themselves or learn new things, but you never come across as I know something that you don't, and buy my course and you're gonna fucking your life's gonna change. Like I don't
Mm-mm.
like that model. Although there's amazing people out there that do have stuff to offer, and there's nothing wrong with making money from your experience, but to me, it's I'm very wary when people want your money.
It's discernment. Like you have to be discerning
Yeah.
because like the way in which I feel into that, it's like I do a lot of things from my heart, but I also know
Sorry.
that so as I was going through each mystical experience, my left brain was like, this is bullshit. This isn't real. And I was like, okay. So as an engineer, I'm like, well, let's go find a workshop, a mentor, and let's learn. Let's validate. So I took myself all over the world. Like I've worked with shamans in Costa Rica, Peru. I've did my shamanic studies in Vancouver, sound healing in New York, transpersonal hypnosis, like Arizona. Like I've been places
Yeah.
to be with other people, to sit with people. I've been to science-based workshops and I've been to mystical workshops. I've I've sat with so many different people, but that also takes time and energy. So I lost salary from work and then I had to pay to go somewhere. So
Yeah.
I invested in my own personal journey more than I did my engineering degree. So if I put together something like a mentorship or a workshop, I
hmm
do put a value on it because um, I'm saying I can share information with you that cost me, for example, 12,000 US dollars. But
Right.
in this capacity now, in this space, I'm going to give you the golden nuggets of it or share bits of information to help initiate and start something for you personally. And I am going to ask for an exchange because of the amount of time and energy that it takes to put something together. But me personally, I'm not looking to turn this. this type of work into an empire. That's
But
not what I'm
but that's the
motivated by.
difference, though. That's the difference. And again, Bahia, I have no problem with giving my hard-earned money to people that are coming from the right place. And how do I know what the right place is? I think we all can feel and sense bullshit and inauthenticity. And if an authentic person is, this is how they eat and feed themselves, and they've, look at a lot of people that went through some crazy stuff to become the kind of people that can actually be there for you and help you. You're one of those people. Um, and I would not, and I guess the discernment comes, like you said, in finding, like when you see someone or something and you think to yourself, especially if there's going to be money exchanged or whatever, um, you, a lot of people that might not even be in a place, like they might be so scared and desperate that they'll just throw money at anything to try and get saved. And if somebody, you're not, the difference is you're not going, hey, you shoot me X amount of dollars and I'm gonna save you. Like that's
Yeah.
not your vibe, which is why I'm talking to you, because I don't have time for people like that.
But I've
They're,
walked
they're
through those things though. Like
yeah,
that level of reality exists
yeah,
because we have so many different people feed off of um different fear levels. So I remember when I was first open, those
yeah,
types of people, and this is why discernment is huge, they were attracted to me because I was so open. Like
yeah,
my heart was open. I was so loving. I was so trusting. There's stages to this awakening process. And
yeah,
there is an ungrounded period that feels, there's a lot of love flowing through you, but it isn't really grounded in practicality. And boy, oh boy, I had a lot of invitations for psychic readers and tarots to go, ooh, I can see your ancestral darkness. And if you give me 700 US dollars, I can take it
yeah,
all away. It's
yeah.
very alluring
I
because
know. And when you're
you're
scared and I mean, not that you were there, but when you're in that fucking headspace of being terrified and you feel like you're losing your shit, that is like, oh my god, yeah, take my money, fix me, right?
mm-hmm. But in that moment, what I want people who are listening to know is in that moment, as soon as you do that, you've given your power away.
There you go.
And what I like to, if you take anything from today's conversation with Pete and I, is like never give your power away. It's okay to ask for help and to allow for another person to share information with you, but always hold your own power. So it's like don't allow another person to tell you what your future can be. You are creating your own future. So when
Yeah.
you're seeking advice or guidance, call out and ask for a guide that's already walked through something similar
Hmm.
that can just support you and um, make you feel, because really true healing comes when we feel safe. It's really
Oh,
about
100,
finding safe.
100%. Say that again.
Yeah. So the true healing happens when you finally feel safe enough because the body is its own self-regenerating, self-healing. It's sophisticated software. Like this ain't no joke. And we
No.
both walk through the cancer. So we both
Yeah.
know how miraculous our bodies are
Yeah.
when we surrender and allow for deep transformation to take place. So what we're really doing in these moments when weird things are happening to you, it's not about falling into fear. It's about calling out and saying, okay, I know something is shifting in me. Who will be the right guide to help me bring language to this, to help me better understand what I'm moving through, what I'm working through? And there is an exchange of energy in that. It might be a barter system or it might be money, but money is just energy too, right? So
Absolutely.
there,
Yeah.
there definitely has to be an exchange of energy because if we don't do that, if we can't give back, then there's this energetic imbalance that's left,
That's correct. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so in those spaces, it's all about finding the right place where you're going to feel safe enough so that your body can untangle itself, unwind itself, reboot itself. Like
Yeah.
it's going to do it. But having someone who has actually been in the trenches and has come out, and not just someone who's taken a workshop and knows the right buzzwords. Like we've got to be mindful of what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are so many self-professed professionals now, and
Mm.
the field is like inundated because that's what we do. We look for niches, we look for what's trending, and then we're like, oh, I can do this. So everything exists in all these different places, and wherever someone is drawn to, I just want them to know that maybe there's a lesson that you just have to walk through there, and maybe the lesson is, this doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah, and money doesn't equate success either. I mean, that horse has been beaten to death, but there's a lot of. I've met so many people that were so gifted or had such incredible. I don't want to use the word abilities, but they were so tuned in and really powerful, but broke, like, because there was that idea that to be a spiritual person or whatever to take money or make money is a bad thing. And I've met, and you have too, I'm sure, crazy rich people that were kind of empty spiritually, or had sort of chased that idea of abundance. And again, I'd love to be both, rich and floating above
And
the
you can
cornfield,
pay,
right? Which you can,
you can.
absolutely. But you and I both know. One second here, my phone's going off because I'm on call, but
Yeah.
that's not a
Do you want?
bad one. No, no,
If,
that's good. That's fine.
okay.
It's I can call back.
Okay.
It's not an emergency. It's something else. And
Okay.
this is real life, folks. You know what I mean? Here we are. We're talking about, and we talked about this. I told you this, that the phone might go off, and we're like, leave it in, because this is real life. We're not. Neither one of us is trying to pretend to be something we're not. We're just sharing experience that impacted us greatly, including our friendship. But so I want to go back to when you said the cancer thing, and if you're comfortable, can you share what it was like to be someone who's well into the spiritual path and the journey and all that, but then to get hit with a cancer diagnosis?
Hmm.
Are you
Yeah.
like, if you're not comfortable with it, but I think
No.
that was a really important, because the wounded healer thing and all that stuff that we've talked about. You get hit with something, now it's like, oh shit, here, because you've been through a lot, Bahia, and that's just another one of those things. But can you share a little bit about what it was like to be someone who's really on the path of
Mhm.
discovering spirituality, and you were already in it for a long time? And I remember you going, what the hell? Like, what is this? So do you mind talking a little bit about that?
Yeah. So if I were to bring that into like context now and bring it right back to, what I learned in my shamanic teachings is that we always level up through an initiation. Okay.
Okay.
So, and another piece that I want to bring into this is that we have the the language that I like to use is like four bodies. Okay.
Okay.
So if you were to think of your physical body here, this is like our meat suit, our avatar, right?
Yeah.
This right here houses this spark of light that came in when our parents conceived us, right? And that spark of light is our spiritual essence. So there's an essence that meets the body and then creates this personality known as Pete and Bahia, right? And we animate through this reality, through that spirit and this physical body. And in between there, there's a brain and a heart. So you have your mental body and your emotional body. So in between those two bookends,
Yeah.
you now have to be able to engage with your thoughts and your feelings. Okay. Now, in that framework, in our brain, we have this center in the brain called the cerebellum. And that cerebellum, just like a computer, houses all of our memories.
Okay.
And then there's another part in the brain known as the amygdala. And that amygdala houses the charge, the emotional charge to those memories. That's our fear center. So when we have an accumulation of traumatic experiences in our lives, and then we have that jolt of light. So you have this experience, you move through things. This is what I feel. It's a belief. So when the spirit wants to be able to bring more light into the body, like that's all we're really doing, we're having these experiences in life, and every time we can align the way we think and the way we feel, and we can center into our hearts, we can treat people the way we want to be treated, we can be more understanding and compassionate and loving. That's more of our essence, like that higher space of um, universality, unconditional love, compassion, like that, the essence of what we're really here to embody.
Okay.
The human part of that has so much fear and trauma, right? So the body has to kind of like let that old discharge of energy go. Some of us might spend a lifetime working through that through breath work and meditation. So at the time when I was diagnosed with the breast cancer, that was in 2020, and that was kind of at like the peak of when we were really like connecting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to circle back to why I feel like you came into my life at that time and the exchange that you gave me. But um, what I feel like was happening was there was that accumulation of old energy manifested itself as the breast cancer, and it was telling me, okay, this physical body now, we've got to move out that last chunk of density. And my spiritual essence chose the path of the breast cancer to be my teacher. So when
Okay.
I was diagnosed, but this is the kicker, my mental body was like, you're an idiot, you're an imposter, this is all bullshit. Like, you say you're a spiritual person, and like you're diagnosed with cancer, so you're a fake, right?
Right.
So there
Right.
there's the mental dissonance. And then the heart space was like, okay, we're really afraid. We're really fearful. Like something's going on here, like what did we do wrong? So those two parts are having this interaction. But my spiritual essence was like, you're walking through this. You're just walking through this. This is a lesson. Surrender to it. Let it be your teacher. And then the physical body actually has to walk through it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
these are all the different parts that, I was really able to be with at that time. And through that experience, which was over the course of, almost 2.5 years of
Hmm.
that journey, I surrendered to the breast cancer. I didn't say, fuck you, cancer, I'm going to fight you. What I did was I said, okay, I am going to surrender to you as my teacher. What is it that I need to learn through this? And it showed me all the places where I was still betraying myself. This is where Dr. Gabor Mate's work really came in. When the body says no, I started to use my voice more to let people know how I was truly feeling versus repressing. It gave me a chance to process the 15-year marriage that, was very tumultuous. There's a lot of unprocessed emotions that were living in my body. So that is the path that I took, but there was a mental capacity that wanted to heal naturally, that believed my body could heal on its own. But I also had to surrender to um, this place where my body asked for chemo. My body overrode what I mentally thought was best for me. And this is where
Okay. Hold on. How did you
yeah,
do that? This is important. So
yes,
explain how you came to that decision, because those
right.
are huge decisions to make for yourself.
Huge, huge. But this is where that stillness, getting quiet, having a practice, like knowing yourself so intimately and really getting through the inner dialogue that you have, and moving through, it's really about being honest with yourself. And it's really, I feel like that's really hard for people. Like that's
Oh
one of
yeah,
the
of
the
course.
values and principles. Like, can you really meet yourself? And it was hard for my mental body to be down with that, because we hold ourselves to a standard, to how we feel or perceive. The mental is connected to perception, right?
Right.
And
Right.
but the heart is connected to connection and love and community. So how do you bring those two into balance and harmony? And it really was about me letting go of control, letting go of my ego in a different level, not like completely disregarding it, but I was like, can I bridge these two? Can I bridge
Excuse me.
my spiritual practices, like what I believe and know to be true, and bridge it with Western medicine? Like, can these two be integrated and coexist? And that's when so this is the practice I did, Pete. I looked in the mirror,
Okay.
and I remember I looked in the mirror and I started crying. And I remember that I had a short amount of time to decide if I was going to do the chemo. And I remember you helped me walk through this. We had lots of phone conversations. And um, I looked in the mirror and I said, Body, do you want chemo? And my head just went like this. So there was an involuntary, like my mental body was like, fuck no, 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 we're gonna do visualization, we're gonna do all
Yeah,
this
yeah. So
stuff.
you asked the question and your body just moved physically. Your head
Yeah,
nodded like,
yeah. And
okay.
then I got a little bit quieter and I'm like, Body, why do you want chemo? Like, we can do this together. And I could just feel her sense. And this is where, when we have a practice and you learn how to be honest with yourself and you get quiet, meditation, like there's all these different tools. You can become like a fucking Jedi master
Yeah,
with
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
And this is where it's
yeah,
not woo, it's power, right? So
yeah,
we change the language. So I'm like this super Jedi within myself. And when I close my eyes and I ask, and a lot of times I do hand on heart, hand on belly, so I can
yeah,
really get into the more subtler things, and I could just feel and sense like my body was tired of holding, and you helped give it words. And this is where I have so much respect and love for you, Pete, because I feel like when we met, you gave language to my energy. And I'll share a little story at the end with the
yeah,
little
yeah,
doodles and words. But
yeah,
so when I would talk to you and I would share with you the feelings that I was having, you gave it words, and you were like, yeah, well, all I see is like the chemo coming in and just burning the whole village down.
yeah,
And then I
yeah,
was like, right. So then when you gave me those words and I went back in, so you were my light. And so there was the energy exchange. That's why there was no money. We were both lights for each other at different times. And so
yeah,
in that space, I was like, okay. And then, so I went to the body and I was like, why do you want to burn the whole village down? And then I just saw like and felt like all my cells just wanted to flush out all the old memories. They just wanted to be born completely anew.
yeah. Clean
And
house.
chemo was the way to do that. And that's why the body just said, I can get through this. Just let me flush it out. So, how I integrated that with the spiritual practice is, for me, chemo wasn't toxic or poison. Chemo was golden elixir. So, as I was sitting for 6 hours with my porta and my golden elixir, I visualized golden light moving in and through my body, purifying me. The music that I listened to was my playlist, it's still on Spotify, was integrative healing. And then those songs would emotionally move me into places. And then I would just hold the vision of my healed self, happy, smiling, healthy, strong. And I watched myself age. I watched myself. And there was this one day, I have to share this story, Pete, because it's so profound.
Yeah, yeah. Go, go.
All the nurses loved me because I'd always bring them an intuitive gift. Like, before I'd go, I'd always be like, "Ooh, someone needs this," and I would always get the right nurse. And I'm like, "I don't know, but I feel guided to give this to you." She goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe you got this! Like, this is, I have chapped hands, and I wanted cream." So there was cute, cool little things that were happening on the 11th floor of the VG,
Yeah,
but one particular time I was having a hard day, and I it was hard, and I was getting very emotional. And so I asked my future self to come and sit with me
yeah,
that day. And I was surprised when I saw a really older version of myself. Like, she was old,
yeah,
like wrinkly, and she came and sat and held my hand, and there was tears coming down my face. And one of the nurses came by, she looked at me and she goes, I don't even know why I'm telling you this. She goes, you're going to be fine. And she goes, you're going to live to be really old. And I was like, of course you're telling me this. I said, because my future version of myself is sitting next to me holding my hand, and she's really
yeah,
old.
yeah.
That's the mystical. Like, that's not woo. This is my real experience.
Oh,
And
that's so good though. Okay, I want to go back to what something you said. Okay, because it's super important what you just touched on. I think a lot of people especially going through COVID and having to make the choice between the vaccine or not. Um, we're faced with decisions like that, and you basically decided, you gave yourself that much power that you said, I'm going to choose to decide what this medicine actually is. And it
Yes.
wasn't from a woohoo place. You're like, I'm seeing it as a golden elixir, which I love that. I love that what you named it, a golden elixir, as opposed to, what some would call poison or whatever, this
Yep.
harsh, toxic, whatever
Yep.
medicine treatment. But you said golden elixir, which completely reframed it in your own head, mind, body, spirit,
Yep.
and offered no resistance to it.
Nope.
In fact, welcomed it,
Yes.
saw it physically moving through your body, and you feel it, right?
Yep.
And then along with that, so you made a mental decision to reframe it as a golden elixir, so not as anything else but that. So that's positive, and it felt good. Number two, you physically, you you relaxed into the experience as best as you could
Yep.
with the, the chaos that experience brings.
Yeah, there was no
There
resistance.
was no
That's the thing.
resistance.
No.
And then you also called in a super important thing, which I think is not taught in any sort of, when you go to any hospital. But you said something important. You saw and felt yourself as healed,
Yeah.
and a version of yourself, and then you called upon the elder version of yourself to come sort of support you.
Yeah.
like like folks, this is the stuff I want to talk about on this podcast, because this is the shit right here. Okay.
It's
and
real.
and everything she just told you, and I'm reiterating, costs this much. Okay.
Yep.
If you can, and again, but having a guide like Bahia or someone like that, because I see you as like, you're taking people on mountain climbing, and you're in spelunking through caves, like that guide has experience, right? That's where I'm comfortable paying money for stuff, and I'm not bringing it back to money, because I really love where we're at right now, because it's
Hmm.
super important. You made this plan, and whether it was intuitive or you just decided this is what I have to do, that's what happened. And that's a huge turning point when you
I
make
let
that
go of the
decision,
control.
and
You
you
let
let
go
go
of
of
the
the
control.
control. And that's fucking huge, and it's so hard to do. So how did you let go of that control? And again, coming from, I want to remind people, you were an engineer, and it's checks and balances and stuff, but now also you created this other, or opened up this other version of yourself, or
Right
integrated
brain.
or allowed it, right, the right brain to come in
Yep.
and say, okay,
Yep.
let's try this. So
Yeah.
did that just happen organically, or was it like an aha moment, or did you just kind of hit your head against the wall so many times that you said, I can't, I'm obviously not breaking through this wall with my head. Can my heart help me find the door or a window, or
But
just dissolve the fucking wall with love? Like, what, how did you get to the moment where you figured out those? Because that is some powerful shit, folks. And if you're in a spot and you're watching this because you're in this position, I mean, feel free to reach out to Bahia. I'm going to figure out how to put links and stuff. But I mean, you do those things of even seeing yourself, if you're no matter what the diagnosis is, or what the doctor says the diagnosis is, based on whatever information they're bringing you. If you can do a simple exercise like Bahia said, a simple exercise that took years to figure out how to get there, but to see yourself healed. The trick is, I think, is when you're in a fucked up place, sometimes you forget how to actually feel. Like, you forget what feeling safe feels like, or feeling healed feels like. You lose that reference point because you're physically sick, you're emotionally fucked up, and your head's not okay because of everything that's going on. So, Bahia, how the hell did you get to a point? Because you're already in the room. You're on the 11th floor. You're. Let's talk about the energy of walking into those places, and how important it is that the people around you are bringing you. Like, did you bring your best friend who's super fucking afraid because they love you that much? Because love is powerful, but if it's coming from the lens of, oh my fucking god, I don't want my best friend to die, and I'm going to be with you and hold you and fuck it. That's why I did the shit alone, because the people that love me
yeah.
the most, I couldn't handle them. And I think you did the same, right?
Yeah. Well, I had no choice because at the time I was actually walking through the breast cancer during COVID. So it was from
Oh
2020
my
to
God.
2022. So
Oh,
it was a double whammy. So not only was I walking through that, I was also walking through a divorce, being a single mom, having to pay my own bills, and going, what does this look like?
Oh, you're
Like,
raising two children, by the way. Yeah.
yeah, two daughters,
Yeah.
both in junior high. So
Hmm.
they're going through
No
their
drama there. No, it's all,
emotional
that's easy.
development. Uh, and then having to do this while wearing a mask. So
Yeah.
I wasn't even able to show my own face. Like there was such fear already in this, in the, and chaos like in the world around us. But for whatever reason, and this could be a different call for me,
Yeah.
COVID just, that whole experience, I
Yeah.
felt calm and peace because I had the essence, my spiritual self was sharing with me what's actually happening. And so I just had I had a you're so powerful in what how you choose to perceive the world is what I want to say. So this is where when you ask me how did I get there,
Yes.
this is science. So this I learned through Greg Braden. We did a brain heart coherence. We did a 5-day workshop in Arizona. He is an amazing human. This is all backed up by science. It's scientifically proven. Heart Math Institute. They've been studying the heart and the brain since the 90s, so you can check them out. But there's something known as coherence, brain heart coherence, and it's a very simple exercise. What we want to do is be able to harmonize both the left, right hemispheres of the brain, right? So we want them to be friends. The brain is a polarity organ. So the brain will, if you'll know when you're,
Excuse me. Sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, you're thinking about something because you're just bouncing the idea back and forth. It's good, bad, right or wrong. But the heart has a felt sense or a knowing. And so when you can harmonize your heart and your brain, and you can get them into this rhythmic place of like breathing and feeling, you have access now to like information and technology. Like now what you're doing is you've just let the body know like in this moment we're safe. And it's a simple exercise, 3 parts. You close your eyes, you take an intentional breath, you exhale it out, and you take your hand and you put it on your chest, right where the heart is. And you can have one hand or two hands. And what happens is wherever you place your hands, you send a signal to the body, oh, this body part exists. And then you intentionally breathe into that place. I'm intentionally breathing into my heart space. And as I intentionally breathe into my heart space, I can feel my body starting to relax because the internal dialogue in my brain right now is right here, right now, I am safe. There is no imminent danger. And as I breathe into my heart and I let my body know, like right here, right now, we're safe, what I do is I start to use what is known as the mirror neurons in our brain. So we have these mirror neurons. These mirror neurons are the place where you can visualize anything. And we used to be really good at this as children. We had this sense of imagination, right? We could make believe things. And so when you engage in those mirror neurons and you visualize something as if it's so real, it's tangible, you can feel like you have got all of your sensories into it. And that's why I love guiding meditations because people go places, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so when you can engage in those mirror neurons, when you've harmonized the hemispheres of the brain, when your heart and brain are on the same wavelength, which is zero point 0.1 hertz, okay? When you're in a coherent state, now you're in a programmable state. So now you are directing the body as to where you want to go.
Okay.
So through that is through an elevated emotion. So now what I do is I bring in an element of gratitude. Oh my gosh, I'm still here. I'm still breathing. I am so loved. And then I will think or feel into a memory that brings me a feeling of appreciation or gratitude or love. And that could be through a pet, like the love you have for an animal. It could
Hmm.
be a place that you've been. It could be a person that you love. You want to feel the warm and fuzzies inside. And once you get there, you're in the sweet spot. Because from there, now in those mirror neurons, you program into the brain, where are we going? Like what instructions do I need to send the body so it knows where to go? You are now, see, this is your power. You are now co creating, you are guiding your energy. You are a Jedi master. You are directing where you want to go. And when that's led in fear, you see what's happening in the world: division, chaos, war, deception, mistrust. But when you're rooted in coherence and love, and in that elevated emotion, there's this feeling and sense of harmony and oneness and wholeness, peace. And through there, anything is imaginable. Um, that's a practice, right? And you could just start that simple practice today. And you're right, Pete, that costs nothing. Like,
It's true.
that's just,
Yeah.
it's you. But we're just not programmed to think that way because we are so plugged into the mass consciousness and the narrative.
Oh yeah, and Greg Braden, let's give that man his flowers. My God, best hair in the game too. Let's face it.
He's
Greg
cool.
Braden, he's just, and I love him because he is a scientific. He's a scientist. He's a brilliant human being.
He's a geologist. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been at it a long time, and he has a ton of great stuff on YouTube. If you don't know who Greg Braden is, check him out. He's a wonder. Just the way he speaks, he's such an authentic, loving, warm person.
Mhm.
And I love that you brought him in. I would love to talk to that guy, hopefully one day. But
He's amazing.
he's an amazing guy, and again, because it comes from a, like you just introduced science and the way, physiology and all that stuff. And I thought as you were speaking, I know what you're saying. Okay, I understand that, but I remember, at the 20-year-old version of me going through this stuff was so angry, right, and alone, and ultimately terrified because your parents, can't help you, your friends can't help you. Like, there's just, you're so alone. And I think that the disconnect, or where people sort of turn their backs on conversations like we're having right now, is they're in that place. So they're watching this, and if they've made it this far, that's a miracle. Because when you're super angry, I don't have time. I never had time for anything. But how do you, if you are that angry person, which is essentially terrified, and again, my brain is going so fast, but it's because my brain is screaming, just tell them it's an opportunity. Tell them sickness is an opportunity. Um,
It's an
for yourself,
invitation.
it's an
It is.
invitation. It's a calling to something. And again, I this is my podcast, so I'm going to say what I'm going to say. But even if you physically die, that doesn't mean you fucking lose or you did it wrong. Because if we're going to go even further out into the woo, how do we not know? The older I get, the more I think we pick this life and this experience like a goddamn vacation. Um, this is the package I want to experience here, because ultimately I'm really starting to feel, and I can't prove it, but that this is an illusion, that the reality we're experiencing now is not our real home, our real selves, et cetera, et cetera. And that's not because I'm trying to run from the pain that we feel sometimes, or I'm trying to just be like, hey, everything's cool. No, 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 I feel everything. But Bahia, speak to that scared, angry person who just got the diagnosis, who just lost a child, whatever it is.
Yep.
What is step one for you, in your opinion? And again, folks, this is just our experience. Anything that we say is not verbatim. It's not, we're going to try and tell you the truth as we know it and see it and have experienced it. Okay. So my step one was journaling to get it out of my head. What was your step one?
Uh,
Or what would you say to somebody who calls you, hey, be here, I'm so and so, I'm fucking angry. It pisses me off when you say, just be grateful, because fuck gratitude. Like, what do you do with, because there's a lot of scared, angry people right now because the world is kind of wacky.
mhm.
And it's not the first time it's been wacky, but we've just so connected via technology that we get all the wacky. So I'll shut up now. Step one, angry, scared person in situation X. What would be
Yeah.
your advice?
I was that person too. Like, there's stages to this, right? So, like, when I first got the news, like, I was in denial. Like, that can't be me,
That's
right?
not a
So,
river in Egypt. Hey, yo.
yeah. So, like, in that space, I was like, oh no, like, I'm not walking through this experience. No, no, no. And I wanted to just deny it and be in disapproval. And then once the angry one came, I gave her, I gave her, so I used the mirror neurons in my brain, and
Okay.
I gave her, a personality and an image. And she was. not nice. When I saw her, like inside of me, the rageful one, it was like her hair was disheveled, like she had never washed it. She had like leaves in it. Er, She didn't really have much on, but she had blood on her face, like warrior blood.
So to clarify, this is an image you have of
It's an
yourself. It's an
image.
aspect of yourself you invited in, and you see it as
Yep.
this wild
So,
woman with blood. And
yep. So this
okay.
is like parts work. So this is where if I were to like help someone tap into their anger, their fear,
Hmm.
I would say, well, let's call that part out. This would be like known as parts work because we are made up of a whole bunch of fragmented parts. We have the aspects of ourselves that we love and we want people to we've learned, oh, this part of me is safe. People like it, so I'm going to show it. And then we have fragmented parts of us that we've learned through how people treat us. Oh, I can't show this part because then I'll be cut off from the clan, or I won't be liked, or
I won't
I'll
be
be
cool. I
rejected.
won't be, yeah, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
So we have these shadowy kind of hidden aspects of ourselves that they still are a part of us, but we just tuck them away. So when they're neglected, they'll find a way to get your attention.
Yeah, the chickens
And
come home to roost.
yeah, and they're going to either come out in a relationship, like a lover's relationship or a friendship or a family member. Like the people that irritate you the most are invitations
Yes.
to
Oh,
meet
that's a tough one.
your fragment. And that's another call
Oh
because
yeah,
we
that
could
yeah
we
that
could talk about
folks.
so
This is,
many
by the
different
way,
things.
this is part one. I'm just saying it right now. This is
Yeah,
part one. Like we're gonna
yeah,
go. We can go all the
yeah.
way into outer space, but this is part one. We're gonna. But yeah, I'm gonna be calling you again. But anyways, carry on.
Not a
Go ahead.
problem. Yeah, so then I'd say let's meet the angry one. So let's call out that part.
Okay.
And what I learned is that like I was never really allowed to be angry. Anger wasn't safe, so I had repressed it. That's why she had
Yeah.
blood. Like she was, mm-mm.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna. This is sensitive, so she had a heart in her hand,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, this one's she's mean. So first step for me, and it took months to get there, Pete. Like I didn't get to that coherent place
Yeah.
like the first day of the diagnoses. That's part of the invitation. It's work.
Yeah.
People have this assumption that um if you have a spiritual aspect to yourself, it's love and light and no, it's heavy, heavy, dark work sometimes. And you're in the
Yeah, the light only
trenches.
gets in because you fucking broke your leg kicking through the wall. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
got you. And that's
Like,
important. Again, that language. Bahia, thank you for bringing that up. That's important. Like all these, you see all this material, and it's like, oh, it's, just fucking meditate and wear hemp and like no, it's visceral, and it's a commitment. It's a job. It's something that you
devotion.
put on the hard hat, put on the work boots, put on the gloves, and go to work. Like
Yeah.
go have that conversation with that aspect to yourself. So thank you
Yeah.
for bringing that up, because you know what, folks, whoever's watching this, if it's not working, or you don't feel healed, it's a lifetime. Relax, you're not going to get it all done this life. We're
Yep.
talking about just being honest and real, and this is life. We're calling it spirituality, but fucking life, right? In life,
Yeah.
it's not always easy,
Nope.
but there's some good shit on the other side of that experience, and in that experience, even if it feels horrible, there's nuggets in there that are beautiful. So okay, so
Yeah.
step one, you invited in the
Yeah.
angry one, the angry
I
lady.
gave her
You gave her
like,
a voice.
I gave her a platform and I was like, okay. And she was angry at a lot of people. So we made the list.
Was she angry at
Uh,
you?
oh, yeah.
Okay.
The biggest one was me because
Yeah.
I was such a pushover. Like
Yeah.
she was so mad that I just let people just walk all over me. Like I could never say no. I could never, I was so afraid to disappoint people.
Yeah.
And my whole sense of worth was tied into what I did. It was like this, well, I'll show you that I love you by doing all these things, right?
Yeah.
So all of that suppression came up and out through the breast cancer.
Yeah.
And so it was just an accumulation of energy that has never been discharged. So this is a really good analogy. So animals in the wild, when they escape danger, right? Like let's say a lion chasing a gazelle.
Okay.
The gazelle escapes. So the gazelle doesn't go around traumatic or traumatized. After it escapes the line, it fucking shakes and discharges the charge of energy.
Like it
So if we
physically shakes it out.
physically shakes it out, and then
Yeah.
it's back to its graceful gallivanting
Yeah.
back in. What do? We're told, wipe the tears, put it back, put your best face forward. So what
Yes.
happens? That charge, remember when I talked about the cerebellum and the amygdala?
Yeah.
This loops us right back, and that's where it gets stuck. And that's connected into our limbic system. Our limbic system is that whole fight or flight, that reptilian part of our nature to react. So if that's always hyperactive, you can't really think, people can't hear what we're saying right now. They're going to interpret it from a fear center.
Right.
This is where we have to get that part calm, relaxed in the body.
Right. Right.
Once that happens, then you'll have oxygen and blood flow to this part of your brain, which is the frontal cortex, which governs being able to ration, contemplate, reflect. But we don't have access to that part of our brain if we're like still feeling or sensing like we're in threat of some
We're
sort.
in
But that
danger.
could, yeah, but that could just come in this day and age. That could just come from every time your phone sends a notification. Like that's how sensitive we are.
Yeah,
Like it's
that's
an
how you stayed
epidemic.
alive back in the day. If you didn't have that level of sensitivity to your surroundings, you probably weren't going to make it.
Yeah, but it's an epidemic right now. So like
Yeah.
what I would say is that
And companies know how to engage those reactions in us. And I'm not like this conspiracy theorist, neither are you, but I recognize that they know how to play with people. They know how to
Mhm.
build stuff into the technological experience that triggers all kinds of shit inside of us.
Yeah, so this is why I'm like,
So,
pull out, unplug, be your own Jedi master. Like, learn
yeah,
to master your own energy, be responsible for your field of energy, you know, and
yeah.
understand that that's your only responsibility is to just know that this right here, if you can't even be at peace with yourself, how do you expect peace in the world? The seed starts
100%.
within. The
Yeah.
seed starts within. So if you can't be honest with yourself and you can't love the parts of you that are angry and give them a safe space, and that's where you would like a guide to come in to hold the
That's right.
space for you to move the energy. And that's where you'd be like, okay, this is a really good investment in myself because I need help moving this energy, but I need help. I'm not giving it to you to make it better. I
And
just
it
need help.
and it's okay to not know how. And
Yeah.
especially for people that were people pleasers, and like you learned all this because you grew up in a household where you it was a survival instinct to be quiet, kind of don't be seen, and just like stay safe by not engaging in this, with your dad's mental illness. And like when a person sets the tone for the household, the people around them learn how to sort of move around that person. So
Mhm.
you grow up and become that person that. And also you also learn that other people's feelings were more important than your own.
Absolutely.
So you kind of just keep eating shit sandwiches your whole life and swallowing all this fear
And there's the
because
anger,
and there's the anger that's building, and that's because it's living inside of you,
the
because
resentful one.
you're resentful, you're not taught how to deal with it. And if you do bring it up, you're told don't talk like that, or stow it, or don't say anything, dry your tears like you said, pretend it's not happening, whatever, whatever. And a lot of people that come into the to spirituality are people that come from that background because they were already highly sensitive people, which is a
Yeah.
superpower. It's not something to be ashamed of, especially if you're a dude.
Hmm.
Guys, if you're sensitive, oftentimes you're made fun for that, sometimes by your partners, but
Hmm.
it's a superpower, and it's a way home, to follow that path. Again, we'll get into that another time. But so there you were, you invited the wild woman. How many aspects of yourself did you invite to the table? It like how many of these
That
dark
took months, Pete.
aspects? Okay.
That part took months. It took
And
me
this is why you're
months.
actively doing treatment.
Well, this no. So the rageful one. Once I was diagnosed, and in November, I remember it was the same week as my birthday. So I filed for divorce. It was my birthday, and then I got the diagnosis. I was like, boom, boom, boom,
Oh,
and I remember we were still in lockdowns, And
Pretty
then
good gifts, though. Pretty good gifts to give yourself.
yeah,
Again,
right.
not trying to sound out, but I mean, honestly, looking back, you're like, holy fuck, those are real gifts. So,
Yeah.
anyways, go ahead. Hardcore
So
gifts, but gifts
so
nonetheless.
in that process, when I identified that part of me, because I could feel I was at there was dissonance. When I say dissonance, I was at odds. Like the spiritual part of myself was like, this is great. This is an opportunity. My mind was like, this isn't happening. You're an idiot. This is fake. And my heart was like scared. Remember how talk about the different parts? And my
Yeah.
body was in terror, right? My body was like, oh my God, I've got to walk through this.
What did the terror
So,
feel like? Did you go numb? What did that feel like physically?
um, waves of anxiety. Like I would remember that I'd be fine, and then all of a sudden I'd feel this whoosh in my belly start to fill up, and then I'd get lightheaded. But because I had a practice, I was able to put hand on heart, hand on belly, and just talk to myself. So I'd talk to myself and be like, we're safe right now. Everything's okay. I understand you're scared. And it's kind of like I would talk to my body. And then for me, because my intuition, I call it the third eye, like I have an inner seeing, I can see things.
Yeah,
um
yeah, yeah.
when I close my eyes, I'd be like, show me what this energy is, and I could see it as this big purple blob that was like rushing up and out through my body. So I'd feel the wave, and it would come up and up and up and up and up, and once it came out of my body, then I'd feel calm again. But that's kind of how I experienced it, and they would just kind of come and go. And what helped was conversations with you, my partner Pascal, people where I could feel safe, because in those moments of safety, I was able to just be witnessed, to be able to have space held for me because I didn't feel worthy of that. Like I had to learn to, because I'm really good at holding space for other. So that was part of the gift. The cancer was teaching me, Bahia, you are equally as deserving as people being there for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, right. And I remember the first time I was started reaching out to the people that I love and care about to ask for support. I remember the very first call that I went on was with a group of women that I went to Arizona with. There was four of them. We called ourselves the Chacanas. Um, and I remember as soon as we all got on the Zoom, I remember the
Excuse me.
wave of my body just started shaking and started crying. And I couldn't find the words to say, can you help me, or can you hold me, or can you witness me? I remember I was just like shaking and crying, and my mental mind felt like a failure because I couldn't do it myself, and I was reaching out, and so there was all these parts of me that were finally going through their moment of being witnessed and seen. And that's what I mean about when you have a spiritual practice and you integrate Western medicine, there is a very mystical experience happening to you through illness. But if you're not dialed into it, then and you're just in the fear response, you won't have access to really seeing all the different things that are happening simultaneously. Does that make sense when I say that?
100%. And also that you were that the circle of women, that was a safe place for you to just like let go of all that shit.
Yeah, feel the
Right.
terror, feel the shame, feel the whatever it was, for me to be able to say, just hold me, just see me as this, what felt like weakness,
And
but
it's a
was really,
harbor, right? It's a safe harbor of like you've been out at sea in this raging storm, and all of a sudden, this pocket of these women created this pocket of safe harbor for you where you could just take a breath and let go of all this fear. Because my God, the amount of fear that we generate,
hmm
especially in those situations.
yep,
So,
yep,
man, that's beautiful. And you know what? I'd say you're lucky to have that, but these are all the gifts you give yourself by being open to experiences and not
yeah,
knowing what to do and following those little feelings inside. And I mean, this is how we're talking to each other now, for God's sakes, because we were
yeah,
open to the that feeling and that intuition of just, oh yeah, I'm going to follow that, and maybe I'm going to talk to that person, and I don't know why. And sometimes
exactly.
your head's telling you, no, that's not a good idea, but something else is like, no, you really need to, even if it's uncomfortable or strange. Or I remember when I figured out the invite your aspects to your, I did the same thing when I was going through. I don't even know how I came to that idea, but I thought, oh, I remember thinking, I wish I could manifest. I wish this fucking mental illness slash cancer experience could manifest as a person in front of me so I could kill it, like physically kill it. That's how my angry brain processed it. And then I thought, well, what would that look like? And so I closed my eyes, and I was so full of anxiety and panic that even closing my eyes would give me anxiety. Like,
Mm.
I was scared, and the version of me that showed up was a monster, and it was like a zombie, and his flesh was, and his fucking eyes, it was, I scared the shit out of myself. And then I realized you don't have the balls to, even if this thing did manifest in front of you as a person, you would run, man. You would run so far away from it. And that was information, because I didn't
Yeah.
even have, I don't want to say the courage, but I really didn't have the courage. I was a beyond scared little boy at that time. I was just terrified of the experience and of myself. And so if you can't even imagine, have an imaginary moment, you know, where you can't even address this thing, or this aspect of yourself, that shows how strong fear is. And in when and I want to bring up the fuck cancer thing that you said too, because you and I both don't resonate with that. I think it's great that they're doing it. I think they've raised a lot of money and awareness, and it gives people a place to put that anger, to be like,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, but now we're all fucking angry together. Like, where's the next part of it, right? Fuck cancer. Well, I've never been able to heal anything in my body coming from a place of anger. Like, I put that anger, it's a gift. It gives me, it's a momentum and a fuel, but it's a driver, it's an engine. It's not a destination, and it's not a room to sit in and be fucking angry. You cannot pretend you're not angry. That's not healthy. But the whole fuck can't, like, it it's not the Taliban that shows up in the middle of the night, cancer or any disease. Like, it's you, it's your cells. It's something is happening. And I'm not trying to shame the victim, because you're not a fucking victim. That whole mentality right off the bat, cancer patient, you're called a cancer patient because you got to be patient, motherfucker. Okay, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that
Yeah.
whole mentality of just like that. This is a problem. Every problem is a hammer, and every solution, or every problem is a nail. Every solution is a hammer. I don't agree with that. Like, and that's that accountability. Like, when you take accountability for that, be like, I'm going to take the ultimate responsibility, saying, "Fuck, maybe I caused this," you know. And that's not to give yourself shit. That's to open the door to, like, okay, if I cause this, well, why would I cause this,
It's
right?
the body's way of just giving you
Like,
information. And think
that's
about it.
right. And it's a
Body is
relationship you
intelligent.
have, right? And but you got this wild woman now that you're dealing with, who's like probably scary and makes you feel kind of whoa. But then there's also something, there's a power in witnessing that, and realizing that there's a whole bunch of shit going on in your own mind that is contributing to how you physically feel, and what's showing up in your physical reality, right? That mind
Yep.
body connection,
Yeah.
which is spoken about in flowery language, but it's fucking savage. It's trench warfare sometimes,
Hmm.
right?
But
Um,
she transformed Pete. Like it's important for people to realize that once you meet these parts, you can work with them. And if you ask to understand them, where the anger comes from, and witness it, they start to transform. That's the miracle. That's the beauty. And she now, she's got luscious, beautiful hair. She's in the desert. It's a starry night sky. She has this beautiful dress on, and she spins and floats. And every time I check in on her, she's like dancing, she's flowing, she's movement. And that's my feminine. She went from being this rageful, resentful, hand, like heart in her hand, blood on her face warrior, to this woman now who is free under the night starry sky to like
yeah,
twirl and dance. And I can
yeah,
feel her inside me.
that's beautiful. That's a beautiful coming home, and you're doing all this. I mean, parts of this, you're sitting in a room with chemo, getting your chemo, and or you're driving in your car in traffic, or you're like,
Yep.
this isn't like this isn't always sitting in your perfectly crafted space with your crystals and your fucking incense and all those things that tick tick tick. Oh, I'm a spiritual person doing spirit. No, this is in traffic. This is while you're in the bathroom. This is having a shower, screaming. This is like when you're crying in your bed, or when you're walking on a, like, I remember you'd go on walks and stuff, and you'd have these crazy insights. And but this is it, this is life, right?
Mhm.
It was all happening all the time. It wasn't just like you're learning how to play tennis and now I'm going to go play tennis. Like, you don't get to wake up and, I mean, you're inhabiting the experience physically. So So it's good. I love giving people permission to be messy and not have the answers, and realize that we're all in this together. And you look at me. At one point, I was a garbage man, and or you're doing all these roles, and you have no idea what people have been through. Which is why this podcast is exciting for me, because I want to reach out to all these people and talk to them and have these conversations. Because if somebody saw you at the engineering firm, they might not even have a clue that you went through any of this, like, unless it sort of came up at the water cooler or whatever, right? So it's super exciting because we all are in this together. We do connect through conversation and the energy behind the conversation. I'm getting
Yeah.
all fired up here, god damn it, you
This is
know.
what we do together. But I also want to just reiterate something to you, Pete, is that I met you when you were at your lowest, but yet I had so much profound love and respect for you. And I feel like that's important for people to hear, because it's not about your achievement or how you present yourself. What
Mm-hmm.
drew me to you was the authenticity of your heart. And this is where we're moving towards in our, we can call it like this new like software that we're awakening inside of our bodies, like this new technology of higher consciousness, is its resonance. What we're looking for is somebody who's connected into their heart, and even though they're a bit messy right now because they're in transition or they're in like this metamorphosis place, that doesn't make them a bad person.
No, no, no. And it's about meeting people where they're at, you know. And sometimes not having all the answers, and sometimes just being a good active listener, which is more stuff to talk about. But I'm going to have to press pause on our conversation for right now because I got to get to town. But
That's fair.
I mean, like, this is part one, ladies and gentlemen. I hope, folks, that you're enjoying this as much as I am, selfishly. But Bahia, I look forward to talking to you again. My God, I miss this. I miss how we just spitball back and forth. There's very few people that I get to do this with, and I enjoy the hell out of it. And I hope that people get something good out of it too. And you know what? I'm not editing this. Like, we're gonna just throw this up, and because it's real.
It might need to be in two parts, though. We've gone an hour and a half, man.
Yeah, maybe we'll do part one, part two. But I got like we just met the angry woman. We haven't even gone anywhere. But I appreciate how, again, I appreciate how you come to the table with your open heart, and I appreciate you saying that about me, because that I worked very hard to be open, and to be able to be vulnerable, and to present when you don't want anyone to see you, or you feel like you're an absolute mess. So thank you for that, and I
Yeah,
look
but
forward to talking to you again about all this
let's
crazy
close
shit.
it off too with saying, like, a person like yourself who was able to trust that flow of energy that moves through you,
Hmm.
you are like connected and tapped into such a level of creativity. Like, I also want to reiterate, like, what brought us back into this moment here was a seed that you and I planted in October of 2020 before the diagnoses, right?
Oh yeah.
So I started doing doodles. I remember, and
Yeah.
I did a doodle at work one day, and I could just feel it. Like, I felt a vibration in my body. And I did this little stick figure out on this huge cliff, and there was this little sun with a highlighter, and underneath it was, and maybe we'll show the image and the
Yeah,
words
yeah, yeah,
later,
yeah.
but I remember there was like this flower and it was pointing up towards the sun. And then I sent it to you, and you wrote this beautiful interpretation of what that was. And I was
That
like,
that was crazy though. Like, okay, so he would send me drawings, and I would have these. And again, this isn't something I was trying to do. I would look at these drawings, and all of a sudden, I just start writing down this stuff that I was hearing and feeling. And it
"Mm,
was like an interpretation of the drawing, and it wasn't me as going, "Oh, this is a representation of that." It was like
a stream of consciousness."
stream of consciousness, flow experience, completely unwarranted, completely unasked for. And then I would send that info back to her, and she would read it and be like, "Holy shit." And then she'd get insights off of it. And we did that a few times. That wasn't just a
We
one
have,
time thing.
we have, I feel like we have 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll share them because
Yeah.
I think they're beautiful. And I feel like the title of the book we were going to do is It All Starts with a Seed.
Yeah. 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 No,
And
that
so we
was.
planted something then, and I feel like whatever that seed was ready to like germinate and bloom in 2026. So like it's important that people know that when you set intentions and you want things for your life, like there's a seeding process, and
Oh
there's
yeah.
a moment when you're in the dark and nothing makes sense and you can't see the light because you've been planted. Like it's important to know there's all these different stages, and we can get into that the next call.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's there's so much to talk about here. And I do want to make you um we've talked about it, but like I just want to keep having you as a recurring guest because you have so much to offer. And I like the combination of the male, female, masculine, feminine. You know, I think we're both pretty balanced in those areas. I'm not trying to toot, but like we've done a lot of sort of paying attention to that and being honest with ourselves where we're at in that relationship within ourselves. And but together, I think we can do some cool stuff. And again, I'm so happy that we finally did this years later. You know.
And it's great. Thank you for having me, and we'll let your audience decide if they like me.
Yeah, hey, I mean, selfishly, I mean, great, but I mean, I'm just going to keep doing it because I enjoy it and I
Okay.
want this shared. But I have no doubt that people are going to enjoy you and this conversation. So, thank you so much, and
Thanks, Pete.
and we're going to do this again very very soon.
Sounds good. You
All
have a
right,
good day.
I'll talk to you later. Thank you, Bahia. I love
Bye.
you. I love you. Thank you, folks. Have a great day. This is a celebration machine.